we go.
Ready? Okay. Everybody, welcome to November meeting of the Town of Hamlet Planning Board. At this time, I'd like to explain that the emergency exits are out the door to the left and down the stairs, and to the right on the end of the building there and downside the stairs. There's also, excuse me, an AED out in the hall if needed, okay? And all cell phones, pagers, or whatever be turned off at this time. You want to be cool?
Sharon Steigerwald. Here. Steve Law.
Here.
Chris Schleider.
Here?
James Nesbitt.
Here.
Mark Hallerstein.
Here.
Steve Hittner.
Here.
With Dave Martin at this point absent.
Who's next? We'll make some contact with him if he doesn't show up. Has everybody had a chance to look at the October 2nd, 2023 meeting minutes? And if so, are there any obvious changes, deletions, or any type of update?
I'll make a motion for approval of minutes. Second.
Poll votes, please.
Sharon Steigerwald.
Yes.
Steve Law.
Yeah.
Chris Schleider.
Yes.
James Nesbitt.
Yes.
Mark Hallerstein.
Yes.
Steve Hittner.
Yes.
Okay, first item on the agenda is a residential sketch plan for remaining lot at 7 Fencewood Lane for Dana and Lisa Savino. Is there somebody here representing them? Dana and Lisa?
Dana and Lisa.
Okay. Would one or both of you like to stand up and at the podium, just give us a little
We're gonna do this whole-
explanation? What we're planning on doing, and we'll take it from there.
We're really not veering from the original sketch that was done, what Scheibel, I believe, had planned out for his son at the time. 3-bedroom home, 150 feet back, just like everybody else. We talked to, I'm sure you guys know, we talked to the health department, and they upgraded the septic system that would have to go in. It's a bigger tank, 1,250 gallon. So we're really not deviating from the plan itself at all.
You referenced another party, was this since the original plan was developed in 74? You said Scheibel? Was there another
Not sure,
application?
so that's the family that we bought from. They had like 10 acres. So the 5 that we bought, and then they just sold the father's home. He passed away, just like a week ago.
So somebody that was there had two lots.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, he just zoned off the one lot and sold it. That was the
Or he
last time.
purchased the 2, I believe.
Mm.
And it was approved at one point to be built on. It was perk tested, the whole deal, so, like I said, we're not deviating from anything.
Yeah.
It's just continuing 40+ years later.
Yeah, looking to build a home there.
Okay, well, with that being said, you can sit back down and we'll go through the discussion process that we're going to have.
Okay.
JP.
I guess my comments are largely the same as they were last month. The plan doesn't represent that there's public water available, which makes things even better. The DOH approved the septic system, so that's a big step forward. It basically goes from engineering and the grading plan and making sure drainage is sufficient. The grading plan from the very old site plan is not very accurate, and it doesn't seem to seem to match up with, the new LiDAR survey that we have available now. So I, from an engineering standpoint, I would just like to see the public water in that grade.
This natural retention pattern, this is at a high spot on the job?
Yeah, I think it
Is that
was.
what the LiDAR shows?
Yes, it does. It matches with that. There is a retention pond that was built before the subdivision, on the northeast corner, lot number 20. So there was drainage considered, with a new retention pond. It's just a natural, clearly an old pond that was there prior to its subdivision.
You understand you've spoken with the highway superintendent also?
Yes, there was a question regarding the need for a driveway culvert along the roadway that is a high point. And the county LiDAR elevations confirm that it is a high point and that the culvert's not.
Kate, we received some comments.
Yes.
Keith is our planning board attorney and JP is our engineer. I just neglected to explain that.
Thank you.
Sure. So the code provides that a site plan expires after 1 year. The site plan is 49 years old, so effectively expired 48 years ago. You're talking about a grading plan, you're talking about a driveway design with a culvert. I mean, you're halfway home to a brand new site plan right there.
When you have a multi-lot subdivision that has gone through the approval process of some sort, and I don't even think Dave Martin was on the board in 74, that was almost 50 years.
Nixon was president.
Oh, my.
And I know I wasn't, and I was around a while too. But usually they develop over a period of time, so as long as there's a approved filed site plan, even though there's been such a long time between the last development. I couldn't find anywhere in the subdivision law where the plan expires. It was one of those. Not taking anything away from where we're going with this. But just so it's been said, that there are times when if everything reconforms reasonably to the site plan, the original site plan, that it would not require a brand new one and a planning board motion and all that other stuff. That being said, we're not going to discuss it this time, okay?
Well, I understand your concerns, but just to clarify, the town code makes it crystal clear.
Okay.
This expired.
As part of the town code, 52065G.
That is correct, and that has the
That
same.
was for single, was that for single lot stuff?
It makes no distinction. It's a final site plan.
Okay.
So for purposes of, from a legal point of view, town code has the same weight of laws as the state law.
Cheryl?
That was my only concern. I refuse to
Sure.
It expires. But I understand what you're saying too, it's like, it's pretty big expense to have a new site plan if nothing has really changed.
Real tough one.
Yeah.
The site plan is lacking. Maybe we're being old compared to a newer site plan, what we see for detail nowadays.
Right.
Well, I've stumbled into this for quite a while, I guess. My question is, to you folks, when would you like to build?
looking at spring.
Right.
So if we ask for a clarified site plan, our engineer's specs, and came back next month with that, it wouldn't really affect your building, right?
Correct.
So that's something, I'm just trying to think of what we.
Well, it's-
Because the law is very.
Now it comes into money, because it's gonna cost. So basically, the reason why I was going with the old site plan, I'm trying to avoid dropping $6,000 just on somebody to sketch a new water line and put some silt fence on it. You know what I mean? I'm trying to avoid that, is where I'm at. Especially with the way things are today, I'm trying to do as much as I possibly can myself. So,
Is it still
yeah,
private?
it won't be next month.
Is that still a private road?
No.
No.
We dedicated it.
Quite a while, okay. That was JPI inspected the water.
Now I'm worried about the water.
On Drake Road, and there's a, we put a valve there for it.
I remember.
Because it was private, yeah. Yeah. I don't think there's an easy way to get, 49 years. I think there is some provisions in the code book if it's wet. Your year was running out, you couldn't come back and extend for 6 months. And that's written right in the code book, and that's 6 months, 49 years, or not very close to that.
Right.
Well, talking to the neighbors, they're like, well, you can change where you put the house and this and that. I go, well, I'm trying to avoid all that. I don't wanna do that. I don't wanna ripple the water, if you will. That's why I'm going strictly off that
Yeah,
plan.
we're hoping to be able to use the plan.
I believe that was even a ranch, and that's what we're doing. So it's, we're not even
We're gonna
deviating
finish
from
going
that.
through the board here, we can understand,
Mhm.
what you'd like to do and all that. We're trying to figure out what's the best time frame for you within our statutes. So, Mark?
I understand your desire, your goal, but I see significant differences between what the aerial photo showed and what this plan showed as far as the retention pond. Because in the aerial photo, the retention pond only goes halfway into your property. The plan shows it taking up the entire back lot of your property. And also in the aerial photo, I see drainage swales or connecting swales of some sort tying into 2 or 3 other ponds on lot 5 and 6. There might be something going fairly close to your house that's here that I see that you really want to resurvey this so you don't have a problem. Start off and go, oh, that's not going to work. So you might save money in the beginning by not avoiding the engineering costs, but I think it'd be smarter to avoid future problems in the middle of construction if you had a good design up front. So I think we have to follow what I'm going to say.
Steve,
I do the motion.
you said, now you purchased a lot through a realtor?
Yeah.
While it's true that this lot is approved for building, it's not an approved building lot until it goes up for application, whether it be part of a full subdivision with lots, with others, because each and every lot takes on its own character, if you will. Neighbors saying, well, originally it shows a picture of a ranch or whatever. And no matter what, that's just for reference purposes. Since this was approved, okay, there's been a lot of changes in zoning and everything like it is in every town. But what happens is, in essence, is there is a building box. You have a front setback that's X amount of feet from the center line of the road, okay? And that might come not even to a 10th of your lot. I don't know what the setback is in here, because these were large lots, okay? There's sideline setbacks and there's rear setbacks. So that being said, if you were looking at a building footprint, okay, it might actually show less than 5 acres, but anywhere within that, okay, you could stage a building. Okay? The building on that lot or the footprint of that structure has to bear in mind that you need to have a right of way out front in case the town ever wanted to put sidewalks in there or what have you. If there's drainage structures or positive drainage away from your house, it has to be not go on other properties adjoining unless there is a indicated swale on an overlay or a preliminary plat. So those things all come into play when you put a structure on a lot. And it has to be within that. Those are usually always taken care of with an individual lot plan based on the overall subdivision, if you will, okay? And seeing as there is some significant differences here from either through undergrowth grown trees, root structures, and all that other stuff, if this is a natural retention pond, I know there's been some clearing out there, so you get more of a, when I went and looked at it, I didn't get out of the car, but I looked at the property from the neighbors and stuff like that. That there needs to be some description for drainage. That being said, I go back to what JP said and what we've been saying about town code, that we think a lot plan, okay, showing the building footprint as well as drainage and location of the water main and all that other stuff, so that in the future, anything that's on that lot, any encumbrances that are shown by a right-of-way location or any of that other stuff is gonna show up, so that when the deed is prescribed, okay, it's described properly. That's where we're at. I also know that, you know, when the health department looked at your application and said that it was adequate, okay, and I don't know if that ended up someone saying you're good to go and it's not a problem, it's already approved. The subdivision had originally approved. It's been a lot of years, things have changed, buildings on adjacent properties have changed, there's been pole barns, there's been all kinds of other stuff on there, and there needs to be right-of-way drainage taken into account as well as lot drainage on either side. So it's not in the purview of this board to change that regulation, okay? Because it is in the town code and it is referenced as by our attorney. A lot of the work has already been done. This drawing, this subdivision, I believe, has been filed, okay? That being said, that takes some of the cost off of lot development and description. Excuse me. Excuse me, talk too long. So, shut up. So that's where we're at. Would you be able to provide that in the not too distant future? And working with Cheryl?
Yeah.
As the clerk?
Do you have a recommendation of somebody that we could use to have that drawn up for us?
Well, we're not allowed to recommend, but
Okay.
there is a lot of design professionals in the area that deal with us. You might be able to get a listing from past board meetings and stuff and who's represented what.
Okay.
Excuse me, Rich.
I'm pretty intimate with the property because I did the survey for them when they bought the property. So the question I would have is, the perks out there were pretty good. So the soils are probably pretty well draining out there. I know there's an easement on the east side of the property for drainage. If they were just to provide a topographic map of the property showing the curb the water and all of that, would that suffice? Or do we need to see a building with grading? Because it should be an in-ground system.
I would just suggest that for Cheryl's purposes and for your builder, they need to have a finished floor elevation established.
Sure.
So that the grading plan works and the septic. We've seen grading plans ignored, and you have too.
Oh, yeah.
And a house is too low, and suddenly you're dealing with a pump system instead of a gravity system. So I would suggest you need a grading plan and finished floor elevations established to make sure it all works together.
I mean, ultimately, what you're supposed to do with the site plan is you hand it to the builder. And the builder says, oh, yeah, that's what I have to build. He's not guessing. He wasn't here at any of the meetings. All he can do is work off the plan. So I would think you'd want everything that JP identified. Perhaps the driveway, perhaps the culvert. Maybe if there's public water, maybe that should normally show where the water service is going to go, things like that. Shouldn't we just be doing it? If we're gonna cut corners here, you're gonna regret it later.
And we're also looking at other questions in subdivision law in the state. And we've had this represented in the past. It said a drawing can be completed by an architect, professional land planner, a professional engineer, okay, civil engineer, okay.
No, I don't mean to correct it. I think it needs to be an engineered plan.
Okay.
An architect,
You've seen architect site plans, and they don't.
architects are not qualified for doing that
They
thing.
don't work.
But they're allowed.
It needs an engineering.
Architects are good at showing a couple of parking spaces next to the delicatessen we're renovating.
And a rhododendron in the backyard, yeah.
Yeah.
Being a single lot, instead of having to go through, 3 meetings, or we've done this in the past, 2 meetings. If you have a preliminary and final subdivision that, or a lot that can meet the requirements, okay? And as a board, collectively, we've been able to waiver that consideration for a single residential lot. Okay? So it would behoove the applicant to get some information and get a professional engineer, a civil engineer, to discuss with JP what we would really have at the board and present it as next month's meeting. And with this need, as a site plan, we need a public hearing. Is that correct? So you've got a time frame that you have to meet. And when would applications have to be provided? For
The
that.
meeting will be December 4th. Correct on your calendars? It'll be 2 weeks before then. It will be the day after the zoning board. It's about
Yeah,
2 weeks.
fourth.
Thanks.
Okay, so you'd have to have all the information by then,
2 weeks before.
2 weeks before. I mean, a lot of work's already taken care of here. Because you have easement that's been filed and all that other stuff.
I hate to bring that up, I don't think that has been. It's called out on the plans, and Rich shows it on his survey as mapped. He's not calling out the library page, which suggests to me that the easement never was filed. Now, it's not all that challenging thing to do. It's one easement, but that should be resolved.
The fact still remains, if we had all the information on a subdivision plan ready for the next meeting, and you can have a building box on the plan, if you don't know what you're building, or you already have an idea of what you're building, as far as a representative of the floor plan.
Yes, we have somewhat of an
You have a
idea.
house,
Mhm.
what you've decided on.
Yes.
So we're gonna need we're gonna have to some kind of proposal or something, stating that, we want to put this on for a public hearing or planning board for next month, or if not, we can continue to discuss it. Just try to work within the confines of somebody that's making an application and want to move into the town of Hamlin. So, somebody want to outline the best way to do that? Keith?
Have a smooth plan. I think the board, and the code enforcement officer can accommodate them if they get it in a timely fashion. And she has the authority to put that on. You're still gonna wanna look at it, I assume.
Yeah.
So,
But all the things that have been brought up are things that are approvable by the town engineer. So if he is happy with what we need to have within the confines of what the discussion is tonight, we don't have to sit there and look at it at a meeting more or less to have acknowledgement that this is what JP needed. Okay? And, it'd be easy. We've done it in the past. Two-meeting process. That's why they're in for a sketch plan tonight, so they understand what's going on. I mean, it's, you know, with the town code stating as it does, we've got to meet certain standards as we go through the process. And that's what we're trying to do. All right?
it's a question of whether the applicant's engineer understands what the expectations are. And if they just photocopy information off of a 50-year-old map, we're gonna get a 50-year-old map on a fresh sheet of paper.
No. Not what I'm saying. We want to look at the map of this lot. Okay, and how it dovetails in with what we have here. I don't want to re-engineer the subdivision.
No.
So. Anybody who wants to try to put together a motion? Bring this forward.
There is no motion. There is no motion, this would be classified as a concept.
Right, but we still need to make a motion for a public hearing for next month.
No,
This is
only
what we're gonna do, if you could meet those deadlines. You gonna be able to meet those deadlines?
So I guess I need a sequence of what we need to do here. I'm just jotting down some of the notes. So you want us to redo another site map that's updated according to everything that we already have sketched out. And that has to be done, an engineered site plan by an engineer.
So an engineer has to come out, he has to understand what's going on. Am I getting this right so far?
Yeah.
Understand what's going on with the town, what the town wants.
The codes.
And I got 2 weeks to do that, because you gotta have it 2 weeks
Well, we can go
before the
through,
next meeting.
we can go through the regular process and it'll take a month and a half, 2 months from now.
Mhm.
I mean, if you're not building until spring, it wouldn't, I mean, you got
Get approved
time.
in January.
Well, I wanted to get the approval so we can start going through builders, deciding on what we wanna do,
Right.
We can't break the law.
who we want to build a home.
Oh, yeah, we understand the law, I just don't understand.
We can't break the
Process.
local law, which is the zoning code.
I mean, the normal process would be you develop a plan with your engineer.
Mhm.
You submit it, gets reviewed, comes to the planning board, we set a public hearing at that meeting. Next month is the public hearing, it will be approved.
Okay.
So that's the normal process.
I
So
got you.
depending on when you get it in, either it's January or February.
Mhm.
Is that the same thing if a builder came in? If I just hired a builder?
You could have the builder could be your agent. The builder could be your agent, you have to go through the same process.
Yeah, this is all new to us, we're trying to figure it all out as we're going here.
Yeah.
It's all brand
Oh,
new.
yeah.
Mhm.
I give you credit for trying to do a journalist.
If you can, if you can find an engineer that's, doesn't have anything to do, just waiting for you to come in.
Yeah.
The best thing to do is get JP's phone number
Mhm.
and have your engineer get a list from JP of what JP
What needs
wants
to be sketched
for the
out.
town of Hamlet. You know, eliminate the middleman.
Mhm.
Realistically, they can't get this done.
No,
No, you can't get it.
So if you're trying to cut the break on time, you could just schedule a public hearing for January. And if they've got the submission in time, they appear in January. If the submission is inadequate, you would not have had a time to kick it around. But then, I guess what you do is you table it to the next month and do it that way.
Well, they seem like they would hurt.
But we're still talking about spring, so I think there's time to review all that and shop around the plan and all that.
Would that be something that you'd be
Yeah,
interested
that would
in?
be fine. January, get everything together and,
I mean, you can still shop for a builder right now.
Sure.
I mean, there's nothing stopping you from doing all the other legwork, along with getting a site plan at the same time.
perfect. Sounds good.
So, if you want, I'll make a motion that for the residential, let's just say, that we set a public hearing date for January, you may know the date, might be
Tuesday. I don't have it.
Tuesday the 7th.
Yes.
A question, would you want it for December just in case you can get some stuff
No,
done?
there's,
Yeah.
financially, no,
All right,
it's just not gonna happen.
all right.
Tuesday, January
We'll put that down, that might be the organizational meeting.
Yeah, you don't have a mark down here.
Yeah.
It would probably be the 8th, wouldn't
It's usually
it?
the
The
day
first,
after.
I don't think you're gonna have it on the first, but
The day after the organization.
Usually the day after the organization.
so the 15th.
No,
Wednesday the
the
3rd.
fifth.
January 1st is a Monday. January 8th is a Monday, January 15th is a Monday.
Does anybody have a problem doing that on a Wednesday?
Wednesday the 3rd.
Like the 3rd?
Yeah,
That's what I
I got no problem with that.
okay, I think we should try for Wednesday the third.
Wednesday the 3rd?
Okay, and I suggest that we schedule a public hearing for January the 3rd, 2024, for Dana and Lisa Savino for 7 Fencewood Lane to review their site plan. Tax account.
All the votes?
Sharon Steigerwald,
Yes.
Steve Law,
Yeah.
Chris Schreider,
Yes.
James Nesbitt,
Yes.
Mark Hallerstein,
Yes.
Steve Pittman.
Okay. Concerns or questions? Keep in contact with Michelle over there and Cheryl, and we'll put you guys through the process.
Perfect, thank you.
I can get you a whole bunch of, documents to look through.
Okay,
I can email them to you if you like, that's easier.
yes,
Okay.
okay, thank you.
Okay.
Sorry, we couldn't do anything more than that for you folks, but,
No, it's
we'll
fine.
get into it and get it done right, and you'll be good to go with a dream house, hopefully.
Thank you.
It's a beautiful lot, that's for sure.
It is a beautiful lot.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
It'll be really better.
Okay. Next meeting on the agenda is a conservation corridor development permit for Cheryl Zicki,
Got it.
7890 Nuco Drive.
Information's in our packets. Cheryl, do you want to stand up and just a brief discussion of what you want to do?
So it's a continuation of some work that was done, started, almost 7 years ago. So May of 17, we had high water, there was some reconstruction of the area wall. That was all permitted, everything was all set, for an emergency. The only thing we could not complete, because we did many houses to the left and many to the right, my property was where we entered. We couldn't close the two together because the one was too high. So it required to go down to the base and finalize the connection point. We either didn't get the water, the weather, the permit reinstated, or the contractor. But we had it all now, the sun, the moon, and the stars are all aligned.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, the water is going down
The first
this year.
don't say it.
We'd like to do something too. Can't wait for the water to JP?
No engineering concerns.
Pete?
No concerns, it's type 2.
Cheryl?
No engineering concerns or legal concerns, it needs to be done.
Sharon?
No concerns.
No concern.
I'm good. Comments?
So it's unanimous.
I'd like to make a motion to consider the application for Sheriff Kazicki 7890 Newport Drive to be a type 2 under secret.
Second.
Sharon Steigerwald,
Yes.
Steve Law,
Yes.
Bruce Slider, James Nesbitt,
Yes.
Mark Dellerstein.
Yes.
Steve Pittman.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the Conservation Corridor Development Permit for Sheriff Kazicki 7890 Newport Drive. Seeking Conservation Corridor Development Permit to repair placement of armor stone rubberment along approximately 90 linear feet of the Lake Ontario shoreline. All work to be done in accordance with the plan reference in the Natural Resources Permit Condition number 6 within 100 feet of Lake Ontario. This is in an SR zoning district, tax account number 006.07-1-7. Following documents have been submitted. Letter of introduction, DEC permit, instrument survey, and photo of the property.
All those good?
Sharon Steigerwald,
Yes.
Steve Law,
Yes.
Bruce Slider,
Yes.
James Nesbitt,
Yes.
Mark Dellerstein.
Yes.
Steve Pittman.
Another 3 seconds, I was gonna second it myself.
Sorry, I was looking at next. Thanks, Jim.
Only one person on board, folks.
We got it.
Okay, step up to the plate. Okay, very good.
Thank you all.
Okay.
She's also going to represent the next applicant.
One door over.
Yeah, that's why it was, yeah.
Jack, the same story?
Yeah.
All same paperwork.
Okay.
It's, the connection point falls on the edge of both properties, so we thought it'd be fair to include both just for completeness.
Okay, motion.
I think a motion that we consider Magda Meisner, 7886 Newport Drive to be a type 2 action under secret.
Second.
Sharon Steigerwald,
Yes.
Steve Law,
Yes.
Bruce Slider,
Yes.
James Nesbitt.
Yes.
Mark Dellerstein.
Yes.
Steve Pittman.
Yes. Main motion, I'd like to suggest that we approve the Conservation Corridor Development Permit for Magda D. Meisner at 7886 Newport Drive. The work done in conjunction with permit number 8-2630-00233-00007, which is the Kissimmee property, for repair and placement of an armor stone embedment along approximately 60 linear feet of Lake Ontario shoreline. All work to be done in accordance with the plans referenced in the National Resource Permit Condition number 6 within 100 feet of Lake Ontario. This is the SR zoning district, tax account number 006.07-1-8. Several documents were submitted for review.
Second.
Sharon Steigerwald,
Yes.
Steve Law,
Yes.
Bruce Slider,
Yes.
James Nesbitt.
Yes.
Mark Dellerstein.
Yes.
Steve Pittman.
Yes.
Okay.
Got another one? I'm sure they do.
Hold on.
No? Okay, very good. Last item on the agenda is for Zachary Pritchard, 365 Drake Road for the property merge. We have a driveway in my property and I take it to
You got it. Yeah, so there's like a 26-foot strip of land that includes, Brightleaf. But when they bought the farm behind this house, it's got frontage on both sides of the house, so there's plenty of access to the farmland in the back. Zach talked to Joe, and, Joe said, we don't need it. The driveway's been there for God knows how long, so it only makes sense for them to, absorb that into the house on that property. I was contacted by a local attorney out of Rockport to facilitate this, so. I know we can't file a map until a deed gets transferred to them, so part of that process is whether or not the town's in favor of it or not.
So does the property no longer has an encumbrance on it after this, right?
It would be correct. It's never been caught.
GP?
I really have no major concerns. Rich, the side setback for the existing, for the house to the south,
Mm-hmm.
is that dimension?
If it's greater than 3 feet, I don't need to show it.
And that
But if
means,
you want me to show it, I
No,
can certainly do that.
if that meets zoning,
That I can't tell you. That's a pre-existing.
right, it's a lot line adjustment, so, I just didn't want to create a setback.
Well, that line's always been there. That line's never changed. The only line that's going away is the one between the current house, or north of the driveway. That's the line that's going away, so. Right?
Okay, that's.
You know what I mean?
Yep. Okay.
That's the only line we want to get rid of.
Yeah, the house next door hasn't changed, it's awesome.
Nope.
Okay, I'm good.
Keith?
No concerns?
Cheryl?
No concern.
Sharon?
No concerns.
No concern.
No concern?
You got that going.
Yeah.
Okay. There's no other piece of this is
Make a motion for the application of Zachary Pritchard, 365 Drake Road, to be a type 2 action under SEQA.
Sharon Steigerwald,
Yes.
Steve Law,
Yeah.
Rich Slider, James Nesbitt,
Yes.
Mark Valentine,
Yes.
Steve Hittner,
I'll make a motion to approve the application of Zachary Pritchard, 365 Drake Road, for property merge. Two properties into one, tax account number 020.04-001-007 and 020.04-001-008. This is an RM zoning district. Following documents been submitted: letter of introduction, merge application, site plan.
Second.
Sharon Steigerwald,
Yes.
Steve Law,
Yes.
Rich Slider, James Nesbitt,
Yes.
Mark Valentine,
Yes.
Steve Hittner.
Thank you. We'll be back with a Mylar once all the proper documentation's been done.
Thank you, Rich.
Thanks, Rich.
There's some snacks there.
Alright. Well, we have discussion. Discussion.
Don't forget to vote.
Yes.
Saturday Night Live.
As a result of the Fencewood discussions tonight, do we need to change that portion of our local law? If you have an adequate subdivision overall plan. Okay? And they can come in and meet the reasonability of that overall. Okay? Where we didn't find a bunch of different elevations like we did tonight, but let's just say you had a subdivision that it filled up with his lots, okay? And all except for one, maybe two. All right. And then for 10 years, because the banking interest has gone crazy or whatever, that's usually what happens, or somebody can't make the grade, and that individual one or two lots stays vacant for a while, either to somebody adjacent to it buys it to have a double lot, which is what happened here originally, okay? Or some realtor says, well, you know, this is an approved subdivision, you know, so it's gotta be an approved building lot. And no one teaches these realtors that that's the case, or that there's a local law that says you can't do this and you can't do that. The law that we had originally when we looked at it was for if somebody had a building permit and had approval, and they didn't ask for an extension in time for whatever reason, that within a year, or within a year and a half, or a year and 3 months, whatever it was, okay, they need to provide a new site plan or an approvable site plan that had current signatures on it. I sat there and redated plans here and out for years, okay, and so have you.
We've done it here.
Right, I
Every
know.
time.
Multiple times.
But in this case, this is almost 50 years.
The plan wasn't adequate. That's the problem.
And that's the discussion, that's the discussion that was brought out by continually asking the question of yourself and Keith, and talking to the resident, who one half was a very, very easygoing person, the other half was ticked, okay? And he doesn't understand why, you know, you got a black eye. We know, because somebody convinced him that this was a big deal. All right. Do we need to be able to discriminate that? Because if it was adequate, all right, we'd still have the law, Keith. If it was adequate, we'd still have that law where it states it doesn't describe under which cases you can do it, where this board could waiver certain requirements, all right?
But who determines adequate?
The engineer in this case, or if the map hadn't been filed, or the easement hadn't been filed, okay, and other encumbrances on the lot in question, okay, doesn't make it a legal lot. So my question remains, do we need to re-describe this section of our code to even take care of those one-offs? Or does this board, or does the town board have the ability to legislate us the power to accept something that would be adequate? I'm being a devil's advocate for somebody that comes in to this board meeting.
I think you already have the authority to do all of that you described. Problem with this particular lot,
I didn't want to go down that railroad with them.
the problem with this particular lot is just too far from the water.
It doesn't begin to reflect reality.
Yeah,
It's just like time.
There's no driveway, no water line, build a well.
And we have grading data, which we know now is not accurate. And who would want to develop a house on using the wrong grading data? The one reason that planning boards exist above all others, drainage.
Yeah.
And grading is what you use to design drainage. So, I don't think you were doing them a favor by accepting that ancient map.
I was trying to get it undeniable. Okay. You know, that we have to go by this. This is why. All right. And if that was an act, that's fine, and they were itching to go, and I threw out that. And said, okay, you want to do that? And the rest of the board got together and said, hey, you got time. You know,
Which is good.
Did I
Did I turn red or? I feel like somebody was giving me a hard time. We went over this play earlier tonight and about 5 o'clock.
Well, when he first came in, a week and a half ago, he
I-
was
yeah.
done, he was not going to come back.
Yeah.
When I talked to him into it, I said, what do you have to lose by coming before the board? Not gonna cost you anything to get advice and go over it, so, cause he didn't wanna hear about.
Well, nobody just said,
He
no.
didn't,
Nobody said no.
no,
Everybody talked.
Yeah.
and that's what I told him you would do, you guys would talk about it,
Not
That-
going-
That's
Nobody
my
hears
lot
about.
is a prime example of, I mean, now we have all kinds of drainage problems, went too fast. We went too fast.
And the other thing that happens with an older plow land, maybe not so much on a big 5-acre parcel or larger parcel, like standard 150 by 200 or whatever, is people tend to plant trees on property lines where the drainage swales in property lines. They put sheds up. There's no easement on the original overall showing that the town reserves the right all around the property to create drainage. And as trees grow up, they all become little dams. Okay, or somebody's got, it goes from back a lot to back a lot, sheet drainage, somebody puts a pool in the middle of it. Okay, and, you know, it's okay when the pool accepts the rainwater, but, so. Yeah, that's just, I wanted you all to realize what we're doing. You and I had discussion about this week. Keith's letter was timely, like, timely, okay? And, so,
Just out of curiosity, how much difference the elevation from what it showed on the map?
I'd have to pull it.
I wanna say it was almost 3 feet.
It was quite a bit. Datums have changed, well, I had to go into the weeds here. Datums have changed, so from 1977, around 1980, I wish Rich was here, sort of, around 83, the datum changed. So,
It was a big adjustment.
at least 6 inches, but the point is, the plan's not in.
Not even close to that.
Right, I mean, the pond isn't shown where the actual pond is, the grade
They're
is
running the rock.
shown the way the grade is. So it just isn't adequate.
Or running sand,
So, yeah.
because it's all redstone.
So, to do a re-sign, I've done a million re-signs, it's no big deal. If it's accurate and,
Yeah, within 5 years or so.
yeah, and the engineer that provided the plan is still around and say, yes, I'm okay with this being re-signed, you know. But you also, you know, we can't modify someone else's drawings, it's legally, this is someone's intellectual property and you can't just re-sign it. It's just inadequate.
Great lady.
Right, I got a little like logistical question. Is a pool impervious or pervious?
Depends if it's drained.
It's impervious, it's not gonna.
Summer or winter? Serious, when it comes to calculation, what do you consider a pool impervious or pervious?
I would say it's
Impervious. But is a pond impervious?
Right, that's the difference. You know, I mean, when it comes to lot coverage, you know, what do you count it as?
I've contemplated the pond issue too. It's, I suppose a pond can percolate into the ground and a pool.
Small, right?
Then there's the retention pond versus the detention pond.
Nothing too much,
Oh, yeah.
just pass the budget, and, Steve and I just met with, county agencies today to move forward with a farmland protection plan. So,
Next year's budget discussions are ongoing still, correct?
no, that's been passed.
Somewhere down the line, if we're gonna continue, I'd like to see MRV and lot development statistic or regulations that we have out there. Chatfield, they need to be looked at again.
Not a lot's changed. I mean,
You covered
I mean, we could.
I mean, if that's what you're gonna do, but is there anything that needs to be, can you do a quick review of that? Or
Sure,
have somebody
yeah.
do a quick review of that and make a presentation?
Sure.
It shouldn't be that hard.
Yeah, there's maybe some regulatory changes that have happened with stormwater, et cetera, but they have to be followed anyway. You know, there's nothing super archaic, I guess, in your
Well, no, if you had a subdivision or whatever, you might wanna take a look at the characteristics of the new asphalts now, okay? And go with an inch and a half at top and 2.5 inches of binder if you're gonna have a single entry subdivision, those type of things.
Yep. Certainly review that.
It's a whole different ballgame out there working with the asphalts. And you could probably add some of that, what you find from when you started doing this work years ago. It's a whole different
You're just
ballgame.
trying to make me feel as old as you are, right?
Oh, I'll be the old guy. Easy old guy. Don't look at it, so.
Quick question, JP. In Fenswood, pretty familiar with that for a number of years. It goes to Medina sandstone with about 4.5 to 5 foot from the common. If you go to the north, you'll see that Dean Brightly has a pump in the ditch right on the Roosevelt. It goes 24/7. So when we're talking level ground, and that ground in there is, you can walk that whole development, and it's just level
It's
ground.
flat.
It's just as flat as can be. And I got the curiosity, I guess, to look at a bigger radius. Where is that water going? Because I know it. And it's sandy loam on top, it's beautiful, you can't find a stone. You know, and it's the same way on the north side where the south, or not, a couple of the towers. Yeah, that's all sandy loam, and then it gets to be really crappy soil to the south. You don't have to go very far up the Drake Road, and you won't see any farmers working any land. You don't see any trees working. Yeah, you don't see anything. So the question is surface water, certain times of the year, that first floor elevation becomes really important. And I think there's a couple of houses in there without basements because of that.
I'm surprised they're accepting the foot from the original.
Yeah.
It was one of my comments as well, is
Yeah.
whether the DOH was gonna approve that septic again.
I mean, I'd be talking to the neighbors and see about their surplus.
I mean, it may be too fast.
I don't think there'll be any problems with permanent or drainage away from the structure. But if they do any work test.
Some of the bedrock is kind of permeable.
Yeah.
I've got,
Depends what time of year they did it.
right, yeah, but I got places in Caledonia where it all sits on limestone, up near Lime Rock and Caledonia, and the water disappears into the ground, and then it pops up with a big spring. So even bedrock can be porous and
Fractured
crazy.
and,
The town of Gates has a lot of storm systems that are catch basins with a hole in the bottom. That goes into the rock.
Every site is different.
sounds like some contractor saved some money on that. I'd like a motion to adjourn.
Okay, all in favor? Just say aye. Yeah. Thank you, everybody.
Rum and brandy fudge and maple pecan cheesecakes.